Alright, so in today's video I'm going to walk through a fight that I had here in Nenemalia system. I'm currently flying around in a Condor, a Brawl fit Condor. It's a fun little fit I have. It's basically a fleet tackle fit, but I was out and about in it, so I figured why not try fighting with it anyways. So I'm warping around to different novice outposts, and I happen to warp to this one, which was a pretty long warp, but here I see that there's a Fed Navy Comet inside the novice. I'm looking for some kind of action, so I decide to slide in, knowing that if I heat my micro warp drive, I can put some distance between myself and him. That's usually very risky, but I chose to do it here. You do see, as I'm sliding in, there's an Astero that landed behind me. I know that it's flashy yellow. It's not a war target for me, but as soon as I get inside the Plex here, I see a war target. So this guy is ready for the fight. His drones are out. Fed Navy Comet, he's ready to just beat the crap out of me. Having seen the Astero on the outside of the Plex, though, I don't necessarily want to take the fight right away because I think that they'll just gang up on me and then they'll slug it out themselves afterwards. So I decide that I had initially chosen or had initially settled on the idea of sliding in and then trying to burn away with my prop, with my micro warp drive, put some distance there. I decide that I'm going to do that here. I want to do that. So I double click away from him. I'm doing this because I want to see what happens when the Astero and the Comet clash. So here, let me step back a second there because some important things happen here in a split second. So what you'll see real quick here is I'm double clicking in space like right here to put myself off on that sort of a trajectory away from the comet. He'll place his web on me, but for some reason he doesn't scram me. And then as the Astero is coming in, I manage to still heat my micro warp drive and I get that distance I wanted. So double click, lock, burning, web. This comet's an AB scram web fit, so I expected him to catch me, but for whatever reason he didn't. So now I'm already 17 kilometers away from him, 10 kilometers away from the Astero, and his drones are on me, but I'm not too worried about those as long as I keep burning around. So now I want to see what's actually going to happen between these two. One of two things really could happen. Uh, they could both burn after me because they're collaborating and trying to kill me, or they could just start beating the crap out of each other because they're both looking for fights and they happen to have walked right into a fight. The latter happens. So I'm burning away from him, worried about the drones, but I pan my camera back this way and I see a warp disruptor effect right there, or a scrambler effect, and I see drones go out from the Astero and they start fighting. I see the Comet just took a chunk. They just took a chunk of his shields away, and so now I'm kind of interested in, this has gone from a two-way fight to a three-way fight. So I'm getting a little more into it now. Maybe I could walk away from this with something. So what I decided to do, the Comet and the Astero are both pretty strong ships, but the Condor probably isn't normally viewed as a fighting ship, so to speak. So what I decided to do is, now that these two are very heavily engaged with each other, is I decided to go burn back in and kind of third party the fight that I had initially caused or was involved in at the beginning. And so now I'm back in here with these guys in the brawl in the mess, and we've got a second Astero coming in. You'll see that he's friends with the other Astero, obviously. So now what I decide to do is if I fight basically I have to choose a target here. I want to be involved in this fight, but I have to choose a target. The target that I have two options really. I have either the first Astero that was fighting the Comet, or I have the Comet that was fighting the Astero. Now, if we follow both of those target selections to their to down the path that they would eventually take, if I decide to help these Asteros kill the Comet, they'll kill the Comet, and then they'll turn their attention to me, which this fight is a 3v1 essentially in that regard. Um, but if I instead help the Comet kill one of the Asteros, then it's a 2v2. There's some sort of balance maintained, and maybe I'm walking away from the fight with multiple Killmails instead of one, or just a lost mail. See. So when I made my initial approach here, when I burned back in, I went for the war target because that's the one that had engaged me initially. But what I do here is I start turning my attention to the Astero instead. I take my newt, my rockets, and my webs, and just put everything on the Astero because I want to see one of these guys go down, especially since the Comet is already as low as he is. I know that he's going to die. It's just a matter of when, not if, because he's got three different people shooting at him. Now the Astero's getting chunked pretty hard, but uh, so one thing I just did there is I took my scram off of the Astero and put it on the Comet, and that was an active decision I made. The reason I did it was because I believed that the Astero was going to die pretty quickly there, and I thought that the Astero might be tackling the Comet, and if the Astero died, then maybe the Comet might get away. And I know that the Comet is tackling the Astero, so what I do here is I put my scram on the Comet because I thought the Astero was about to get popped, just so that I make sure they both end up dying. Um, that the Comet actually ends up dying first here, though. You'll see here in a second. But that just means that I can just go ahead and put my scram back on this guy, just like that. Yeah. So now the Comet's dead, and now it's myself versus a huge swarm of drones, right? But this Astero is already super low, and I'm doing decent damage with my rockets. And the newts, the newt on this particular fit helps very much with fighting ships that are active tanked. Normally, I wouldn't be able to brawl it out with a ship. With I wouldn't be able to brawl any one of these ships individually with this fit. I don't think. I haven't really tested it that much because this is really just a fleet tackle fit, not a roaming fit for me. But the newt does help. So you'll see the first Astero goes down. Now I lock up the second one, and I'm debating here whether I want to actually fight him or not. But what ends up what I notice here is how low in shields I am, and you'll notice on this particular fit I don't have a damage control fit. This is a shield tanked ship, nothing more, nothing less. And I see let me dial it back a little bit here. So I see I'm in low shields, but when I looked down here I also noticed that this icon was a warp disruptor, not a warp scrambler. So what I decided to do, rather than suck and die, is live to fight another day. So you'll see me overheat my prop. I'm already panning my camera to double click off in space. You'll see me overheat my prop and then double click fast burn. Kind of like what started this whole fight where I burned away. I'm ending the fight the same way. This Astero, I believe, is just a kiting friend of the other one, which is why it's a disruptor fit, or maybe they're mixing tackle so that they can catch more targets. Who knows? But whatever. He's disruptor fit, so I burn away. His drones are still hitting me, but they're not stupidly overpowered or anything, so I put a huge amount of distance between myself and him. You'll notice he was burning at like 300 to 500 meters a second, and now when I'm out here, almost 40 kilometers away, he starts picking up speed. But I'm traveling at, some stupid fast speed here, and definitely manage to get away from him. And I just choose a Celestial and I warp off, and I survive. So I'm burning out my prop in the process. So this, I managed to be involved in that entire fight and walked away with a nice shiny Killmail. And uh, I thought it was kind of apt, kind of amusing that it was flying a Condor because I did sort of, circle this fight like a vulture and just went in for went in when the time was most opportune for me. But you gotta play your fights smart, and that's what I did here. So uh, that's pretty much it for the fight, though. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you learned something. Have a good one.